Hey YouTube. I was gonna start listening to Sam Harris's new book, The Moral Landscape, this morning, but I decided that it might be interesting, before I listen to that, to just set down on video sort of how I would explain morality in a secular context and where I derive my personal moral compass from and that kind of thing. A couple people in the comments from a video I did almost a week ago, I guess, were just asking sort of for more details on my thoughts on secular morality as opposed to the religious top-down kind of style of morality where they get their morality from God. Without a God, where do you derive morality from? So hopefully I'll be able to help explain it a little bit. I'm by no means an expert or anything, so hopefully this won't be too rambly, but we'll see how it goes. Basically, with the theistic morality, the sort of God sets it down in a book or through a prophet or whatever, and those things are considered either moral or immoral based on God's judgment. When you don't have a God or anything like that, obviously that's just not going to work. And I would say, I said it in that last video actually, that morality is an intrinsic property of life. I'm not sure exactly on my wording, but it was something like that. An intrinsic, sort of instinctual part of being alive. And I would include all animals in that, human or otherwise. And yeah, so why would I think that, though? Basically, it comes down to evolution. Morality is evolutionarily beneficial to social animals, like humans, and a lot of other primates, and a lot of other animals. You'll find, any group of animals that cooperate, you'll find an interesting social structure that tends to include some form of what you could call morality. Obviously, it's going to be very different in animals than in humans, but it all is derived from the same cause. The fact that once you start sort of benefiting from social behaviors, cooperation, helping defend the herd, whatever it happens to be, you're going to need a way, not necessarily need a way, there's going to be a way that the members of that group that are least beneficial to that group's goal, they're going to be weeded out. It's the same way that evolution forces change through natural selection from generation to generation. The more likely a particular animal is to cooperate with the group, the more likely they will benefit more from that cooperation, the more likely it is that they will survive long enough to have offspring, and that offspring will be more likely to participate in the group, etc., etc., etc. Whereas the less social or the less cooperative members, you eat your neighbor's kids, you're going to get attacked, you're not going to be as active a member of the pack, whatever the case may be. You're not going to have as good a chance for survival because you're not getting the benefits of the group, and so you're less likely to have as many children who will have at least some of the same predispositions as you, and so on and so forth, and they're weeded out. Now, it's a little bit more complex with humans, of course, because we have a much more complex social structure, and we have a legal system that is not necessarily in line with the general consensus of morality, but there's a serious amount of overlap, and The reason for that is that we're very social, and many of the antisocial behaviors are frowned upon quite severely, to the point of jail time in some cases, such as murder, theft. A thing that is detrimental to the group as a whole, if it's allowed to run rampant, is sort of tried to be minimized. And as a effect of that, and partially affecting it at the same time, the more likely you are to sort of fit into the group and just do your thing and help each other out, etc., the more likely you'll be successful enough to have children and pass down those attitudes to your children. Now, we've gotten to the point where human society is so large that there's pockets of gang violence and all sorts of other things, but on the whole, the average person tends to be more moral these days than in the past. We can see that through lowering levels of violence, higher levels of altruism, like that. So it's just a very natural kind of part of being alive, being, not wanting to rape and pillage the neighboring town benefits humanity. And so over the generations, many generations, the less beneficial attitudes, the rapists, the murderers, etc., kind of get pushed to the sidelines and ostracized, and that process also increases the likelihood that more people being born will not have those predispositions. Obviously, there's many causes of those types of personalities. They're not all going to be weeded out. There's probably always going to be some sort of antisocial, I guess, anti-moral, immoral behavior going on, just due to the fact that everyone is different, and there's a lot of change goes on from generation to generation in each individual, and so you're never going to fully weed those kind of behaviors out. But when you look at it sort of with broad strokes in the big picture, you're going to see a much more civil society on the whole these days as you would even a couple hundred years ago. And while I would say that it is intrinsically part of life, being moral, the sort of objective morality versus subjective morality situation is a little bit trickier just because of the way people use the terms. I would say personally that I think morality is subjective in the sense that each person has their own moral compass. Now, you can objectively, perhaps, argue for specific situations being either moral or immoral against some other standard of morality, but I'm not sure how you could derive a morality completely objectively. That's not to say it couldn't be done. I'm just not sure how you could do it. I don't think objective morality is necessary in any way to justify things like the legal system not, raping, stealing, murdering, etc., because it's essentially based around social norms, not necessarily because it is good for society, but because evolutionarily it has been good for society, and so the things that are most beneficial to society have been passed on from generation to generation through simple evolutionary means. So it's sort of a two-way thing going on there. As for sort of specifically my definition of morality as I would use it, I personally kind of go for the just don't be an asshole approach. If something cannot affect anyone who does not consent to that effect, then I really don't care. For example, murder. Okay, murder is bad because one of the people involved don't want to be killed, you would think. If they did, that's called euthanasia, so it's a different thing. It wouldn't be murder. And euthanasia, I think, should be legal because everyone involved is consenting to the situation. There's no victim, essentially. Same with drugs. You want to fill yourself with anything you want? Oh yeah, I think you should be able to. Prostitution, same deal. As long as everyone involved is consenting adult, go for it. You know, things like that. Victimless crimes, in my opinion, are not crimes because there's no victim. I really don't understand the concept of laws that have no negative effect on anyone who did not consent to that effect. But the legal system is probably a whole different video or series of videos, so I won't go into that. But basically, yeah, morality comes up, sort of trickles up through into the legal system because, in general, the people that made the legal system thought the same set of things were moral and immoral. It's not necessarily going to follow everyone's morality, but on the whole, statistically, you're going to get a higher percentage of people agreeing that the laws are moral than aren't in a democratic, fair society. Fascist societies are a little different, but the goal would be to have a very close tie with morality and the legal system. It's not always, but that's sort of the goal, as I would see it. What else do I have to hit here? It's kind of a scattershot video, but I don't know. I guess that's it for now. I don't know how well I explained that at all, but I guess we'll see in the comments and all that kind of stuff. If you want me to clarify anything, just let me know. If you think I'm an idiot, let me know. That's always fun. And I'm going to go listen to that Sam Harris book, and once I'm done that, probably in a week or so, or a little more, I don't know how long it'll take, then I'll do another video just going through maybe some of the points in his book and see if I can change my mind about anything, see if I can clarify anything. Who knows? Anyway, just my 2 cents. See you later.